we're celebrating a great year, 2020. Listen, I know it had its downsides, but we're celebrating what Jesus did. We started meeting February 9th was our first core team meeting. We had about 200 people meet there. And we just started this thing called Simple Church, and we just started doing life together. Actually, we had the Super Bowl party. Remember that? And the halftime show? That got real awkward. Anyway, so we said, whoo, bounce your eyes. Don't be looking. And so we started meeting February 9th, and then on April 15th, of course, in March, the whole pandemic came, and we're like, what are we doing starting a church during a pandemic? This is crazy. So we went online. April 15th, the week after Easter, we launched online, hey, we're a church. And then on June 7th, we got to meet back again and had our first services here, and God has just blessed and done so many crazy things, and He keeps moving. And we have a lot of people sleeping today. That's fine. Listen, you guys can have perfect attendance this year. They can't, so it's failure on their part. But no, God has just did so many great things, and I'm expecting so much more for this year. But here's what I know. 2020 was not easy. Okay, I'm not blind to that. There was a lot of pain. There was a lot of loss. There was a lot of heartache that happened in 2020. But I feel like God has this message on my heart today to say, so what? Suck it up. You have two choices to do with 2020. Whatever happened, I don't care what your situation is. You have two choices: wallow and die, or move forward. That's it. Like, there's no other choices. I think about the game Mario. I'm talking about old school 8-bit Nintendo, the original, 2 buttons. We didn't need 64 buttons to accomplish what we did. We need 2 buttons. B and A, son. That's all you need, right? But think about that. In the old school Mario, you couldn't go backwards, right? You were stuck. And what happened if you stood still? You die. The Gumbies ate you, or time ran out. The only thing you could do is move forward. That was it. Accomplish the task. Move on. And I feel like that's the message that God has for us. You can wallow and die, and your time's going to run out, and you're going to wish you would have, or you can move forward and jump on the flag and get 5,000 points and some fireworks. What do you want to do, right? So we're going to celebrate going into the new year, and we're going to believe that God's going to do big things. I don't want to sing these songs and not believe them. He's done it before, has He not? Do we not have His word telling us that? Then I'm not going to wallow in what's happened. I'm going to believe in what's ahead. And that's what I want for your life. And so my word for 2021 is uncomfortable. Say that with me. That's what I'm praying for you. You may hate me for it later. Uncomfortable. Nothing great has happened without getting out of your comfort zone, without there being some level. As a matter of fact, every great moment in the Bible was preempted by some discomfort, some way of getting out of your comfort zone. That's every single story. Go back and look at it. And so I'm praying that for the new year, that we would get uncomfortable so that God can accomplish what He wants to accomplish in us. We had great holidays. We decided a few years back that we weren't going to buy, my kids are 13 and 12, so we decided we're not doing presents anymore. I'm tired of having just stuff around the house that they play with for a little while or whatever. We're going on trips, so I want to make memories, and so we decided to do that a few years back. So this time we decided to take them skiing. Kids had never been skiing before. Amanda and I had been, 6 or 7 times, but she hadn't been in a while. And so that's going to be interesting now that she's 40. But we decided to take, if she's not in here, it's fine. She won't remember this. Nobody say anything. I didn't say her age on stage. Anyway, so we packed the kids up, and the day after Christmas, we drove to Glenwood Springs in Colorado, a place called Ski Sunlight. It's a smaller place. We actually went there 24 years earlier. That's where Amanda and I went the first time to ski with our church there. And so we wanted to take the kids there so that they could learn. And so we get all the skis, get everything rented. It's just beautiful. They'd got, fresh powder. That's what we call it on the mountain. It's the cool people call it. But we got all of our stuff together, got all the boots and the skis and everything. And we get there on Monday morning, and you have to carry everything up, so the kids are already complaining about that. And we get there, and we start putting everything on. I don't know if you've had to put boots on for skis and everything. It's not easy. And so I'm trying. Evan's complaining. He's like, "It's tight." I'm like, "Quit being a baby. It'll be fine," And then Emma can't get hers on. I'm sweating. It's like 24 degrees, and I'm sweating. I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" They're already complaining. This is a ruined trip, or whatever. And so at Ski Sunlight, there's no area to learn to ski. You just get down to the lift and you just go. And they'd never been on it, and they couldn't get their skis on, and they're sliding everywhere. And we're finally helping Emma because she was really struggling. She's 13. She was struggling with it. And Evan, I just see him sliding off into ski school, which was full. We couldn't get him in ski school, so he's sliding off into the fence over there. And so they're just like, oh, it's so hard to get him. We finally get on the lift. Evan and I get on there together, and I help him get off, and he does fine. Emma and Amanda are behind us, and Emma just wipes out right there. So she's just hating life. Now, Emma's a lot like me. We're threes, and if we can't do something well, then it's stupid, and it doesn't need to be done, right? It's not that we can't do it; it's that the thing is stupid. I tried Fortnite out a few months back with my son, and there's 64 buttons there to do stuff with. It's like, oh, you just got to build. You put B and then the left trigger to build a ramp, and then you do the shoot with the other thing over here. And then I'm like, really? And so I tried it out, and I got killed within 4 seconds, probably by a 7-year-old. And I was like, this game is stupid. Why do you even play this, right? Because if I can't do it, then it's stupid. And so Emma she could not figure it out. And we finally got onto the mountain, and she just fell. And she'd go just a little bit, and she'd fall down. I'm like, pizza, you got a pizza, And she's like trying, she can, and of course Evan, he's a little bit shorter, and he's athletic, and he picked it up. I mean, he's just zooming. And as a matter of fact, he got so fast I couldn't keep up with him. And I ski fast. I mean, I French fry the whole way. You know what I'm talking about. But Emma's just falling down the mountain the whole time. And literally, Evan and I went 3 times before she got down the first time on this little one slope, and she was just done. She just had it. Matter of fact, here's a picture of her. This was the first day. This was her first day. It's okay. I asked her if I could show her falling down. The other thing is she couldn't get up, so we had to help her up every single time. So before she got all prettied up, because she's 13, and she had all her mascara on and everything. Well, by the end of the day, I don't know if you can see it, this was cleaned up. I mean, it was caked everywhere. She looked like Alice Cooper. Anybody, my old school people? Yeah. It was bad. And she was done. She was like, I'm done. I'm not going back tomorrow. I'm like, much money as we spent? Yeah, you are. you're going to fall down that mountain. I don't care. And so literally that night we had to talk her in to go on the second day. And she's like, I just don't want to. I don't want to. That's no fun. And it was uncomfortable for her. It was out of her comfort zone because she wasn't in control of it. But Amanda worked with her the second day, and something just kind of clicked. And then I went down with her one time, and I was like, hey, just try to go a little bit faster. I think it'll be easier on you. And something just clicked in her. And that second day, she finally got it, and she had so much fun. I actually have a video of her.
I feel the need for some speed.
Here we go. All right, go fast. You're on video. Yeah. She was in here the first service, and they cheered for her, but she's not in here, so you don't have to play. Yeah, now you got it. She's done so good. I really wish I would have wiped out. That would have been funny if I would have fallen right here and had video of it.
I feel
Yeah, okay. So that was her. She did fantastic. The rest of the trip was, yeah, you can give her an applause. I'll tell her you clap for her. She's so funny. She wants me to talk about her every service. She doesn't care if it's bad. She doesn't care if it's like the worst thing. She just wants to be talked about. So I'll tell her you guys clap. But she loved it. But she had to get out of her comfort zone. She had to get a little bit uncomfortable. And if God is going to do anything big through us as a church, through you as an individual, we got to get out of our comfort zone. We can't be complacent. I said this before. Satan doesn't want to make you bad. He just wants to make you useless. That's it. He don't want you to be a mass murderer. He just wants you to sit on your couch and watch Netflix. Oh, yes. He. Anyway. But as we look back through the history of the Bible, every move is preempted by being uncomfortable. Think about it. Noah. Talk about being uncomfortable. People are making fun of him for building a boat. I mean, they're like, what are you doing? And he has to be in a flood. That was his salvation. Oh, you have to be in a flood for 40 days and 40 nights. And then everything works out. God says, I'm never going to do that again. So all the people are hanging out. They're good. They're like, hey, let's build a tower to God. And God's like, well, crud, now I got to make it uncomfortable for them again so they can't do this. So he the Tower of Babel, so that he spreads them out. And imagine that next morning you go and your best friend, you can't even speak to him anymore. You're like, no. And they're like, what? What's wrong with you, right? God had to make it uncomfortable so he could accomplish his tasks. And then you see Abraham, who was Abram before his name was changed. And listen to what God says to Abram in Genesis chapter 12. The Lord had said to Abram, leave your native country, your relative, and your father's family, and go to the land I will show you. So God comes to Abram and says, hey, I know you're situated here. Leave everything you know and go somewhere that I'm not even going to tell you we're out right now. You talk about being uncomfortable. But he has a great promise for him. Listen, if you will do this, verse 2, I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you and make you famous, and you will be a blessing to others. And they will write a song about you where they use their right arm and their left arm and their right foot. Anybody? Yeah, Father Abraham. Anyway. Some people are like, that's who it's about? Yeah. There we go. We don't have time for that. All right, let's get back to it. I will bless those who bless you and curse those who treat you with contempt. All the families on earth will be blessed through you. So Abram departed as the Lord had instructed, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he left Haran. 75 years this dude hung out at a place, and God says, guess what? Pack up everything you know and go to a place that I'm not even going to tell you about. God will get you uncomfortable to get his task accomplished through you and for you to have the best life that you could ever have. That's his whole point. Because you being in the center of his will is exactly where he wants you to be. Because he knows you can flourish. Because he knows what's best for you. That's why he's going to accomplish his task through you. But we got to get out of our comfort zones. Now, I know what we think about the Bible. Yeah, that was Old Testament. That's what happened. God told him to, so he can do that. Well, let's go to a guy named Jesus who we celebrated over this last month, and let's see what he did with the disciples, because remember, we're disciples too. So let's see what Jesus did with them. Chapter 14 of Matthew, verse 22, immediately after this, after feeding the 5,000 people, Jesus insisted that his disciples get back into the boat and cross to the other side of the lake while he sent the people home. After sending them home, he went up into the hills by himself to pray. Night fell while he was there alone. Meanwhile, the disciples were in trouble, far away from land, for a strong wind had risen, and they were fighting heavy waves. Now we know what happens after this. What happens? Jesus does what? Walks out on the water. Peter gets out of the boat. What does Peter do? Walks on the water. Starts walking on the water, right? This famous story. But it's really interesting to me, the words that are used here in the very first verse, in verse 22. Look at this right here. Immediately after this, Jesus what? That was terrible. Immediately after this, Jesus yeah. I need your energy up here. Jesus insisted that his disciples get back into the boat to cross the other side. Jesus insisted that they get into a boat that was going to be in a storm. Jesus will get you uncomfortable to get you to the place that you need to be. He will get you out of your comfort zone. He insisted. There's another version that says he made them. I don't know if they were like, I don't know. And he was like, get on the boat. I don't know how that worked. But Jesus took his disciples, his closest guys, and said, you will get on this boat, and it's going to be in a storm. And then he accomplished everything he accomplished. He walked out on the water. Peter got to get out and walk on the water. He got in the boat. He calmed everything. Imagine how strong their faith was. He knew these guys were going to have to start the church. He knew these guys were going to be the ones that had to get everything going. So he's like, I've got to get you out of your comfort zone so you can be ready for everything that I have for you. And I don't know what the word is for you this year. I don't know what the thing is for you. But I'm telling you right now, every single person, every single Christ follower has a comfort zone that they need to get out of so that God can use them. And I don't know what yours is, but you do. Where's the comfort zone that you're staying in that God is saying, get out of that because I want to use you in a big way? Maybe it's with your job. Maybe your job is holding you back. Now, I'm not saying quit your job, but I'll say this. We had a couple people do that last year, and it's worked out pretty well for them. So I don't know if that's your comfort zone. Maybe you need to stop believing that Uncle Sam's providing your money because he's not the provider. Your boss is not the provider. God is the provider. Maybe it's in your marriage. Maybe you need to sit down and have some tough conversations. You need to get out of the comfort zone. You need to really talk about the things that have been going on and why things are where they are, or whatever the case may be. We got to get out of the comfort zone if God is going to do what he can do. We've got to allow him. We can't be complacent. We can't just sit there and say, well, woe is me. This has happened, and this happened. Well, and that happened in 2020. It's not 2020 anymore. Let it go. Get out of the comfort zone and see what God can do through you. That's what he wants to do. I don't care what your circumstances are. He can use those. Now, I think that I truly believe that 2020 was a setup for 2021. Now, I don't believe that God brought the pandemic like, I told him I wouldn't do a flood anymore, so here's the corona. I don't think that God, not to make light of it, but I don't think that's what God did. I don't think he was like, hey, but I think he's using it. I think he used it to strip away to say, what's really important in life? Kids' sports? No. Your job? No. You know what's important? People, your family, the way you treat other people, the way you love other people. That's what's important. And I think that's what 2020 was about. I think it was a setup for what he wants to do. Because I think that God is drawing a line in the sand for Christ followers. And he's saying, put up or shut up. Either you believe it or you don't. And I think now is the time for us to decide, do we really believe this and are we going to live it out? I think we have a year to say, I'm getting out of the comfort zone. You know, your comfort zone may be reading this Bible. Sometimes it's not easy. It's a little confusing. Well, get over it. Don't say you're a Christ follower and then not read about his word and who he is. You can't. You cannot separate those two. You cannot be a Christ follower and not read his word. You cannot be a Christ follower and not pray to him. You can't. You can't be a Christ follower and Sunday morning be the only part of Christ that is in your family. It's just not how it works. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you went to a church that told you that was okay. You could raise your hand one time and you were fine. That's not how it works. And maybe getting out of the comfort zone is really getting down to the core of who you are. What do I really believe? Because when my feet are to the fire, do I believe that God is good? Do I believe that he's going to do it again? Do I really? Do I really believe these things that I sing about, that I talk about? And I think that God is realigning. And it's not about your circumstances. God uses the worst circumstances. Think about this. Noah was in a flood. Moses stood before Pharaoh. The Israelites were surrounded by the Egyptians in water. Joseph was a slave. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were in a furnace. Daniel was in the lion's den. David stood before a giant. Gideon was outnumbered. Elijah faced 450 prophets. Jonah was in the belly of a fish. Job lost everything. Mary was just a young teenager. The disciples were stranded on a boat in a storm. Lazarus was dead. Paul was shipwrecked, beaten, and imprisoned. And Jesus died on a cross. And every one of those situations, God did the miraculous in it, but it had to get a little bit uncomfortable. So what's your excuse? What's your situation? Yes, it may not be good, and it may not be where you want to be, but guess what? God can redeem anything. He can take the dead man, Lazarus, and bring him to life. He can do the same thing for you, whatever that situation is. But it's got to get a little uncomfortable. You're going to have to get real about where you're at. You're going to have to get real about what's going on. We're going to have to get real about what's your connection with Jesus. And it can't just be something we talk about. The lines in the sand. And I think 2021 is about moving forward, not staying still, getting to that whatever point you need to be. I never dreamed of being a lead pastor. When I was 15, I was still scared to talk to people. It took me a lot to get out of my comfort zone for God to use me. And I'm telling you, when I finally gave in, when I finally said, God, here's everything, it has been a trip that has been, and I'll tell you what, these past few years, I had to get out of my comfort zone. I had to stop believing that my wealth and my income and stuff came from the church. It doesn't. God is my income. God is my wealth. It's not about having a job. It's not about being at a place where I feel secure and I have everything that I need. No. It's about what do I actually believe about my God. That's when you strip it all down, that's what matters. And so that's why I'm praying for you for this year, that the word is uncomfortable, that you get out of that comfort zone, whatever that looks like for you, because here's what I truly believe. I truly believe that every single person has something to go after that God has for them if they'll get out of their comfort zone. We did a series a few months back called Chase the Lion, which kind of one of the banner series for our church, and it always will be because, that's why we got the big quote back there. We got a big 8-foot lion over there because I truly believe that we need to be chasing after something for the kingdom. And that's what I'm praying for you, that you will get out of whatever comfort zone you're in, whatever needs to make you uncomfortable to get to the point where God wants you to be, because he has a plan for you. He has a purpose for you. And the truth is, if we're not focused on that, and if we're not focused on the kingdom as a Christ follower, what are we doing? Like, seriously, let's think about that. What are we doing with our life if we're not leading people to Jesus? We're wasting our time. I don't want to be on my deathbed and think, man, I made some money. That was good. Took some trips. That was good. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I want to be on my deathbed thinking, wow, I cannot believe God did that. I can't believe I got to be a part of that. I can't believe I got to be a part. I want to just look back on my life and be amazed at what God did because I was willing to jump out of the boat. And I'm telling you, after this last year, I'm done. Like, I don't want to be in the boat. Like, I'm done. I'm done with the boat. I don't want to be near the boat. I want to be out on the water. I want to see what God can do because I truly believe that He's gonna perform miracles this next year. He's already started it, and I think He's going to carry it out. And I want to be a part of it. This place that you're sitting in is a miracle that is jumping out of the boat. This didn't make sense for us to take this over and to do this. And God is moving some stuff around right now, and I'll share with you what I can, but he's moving some stuff around that we're going to be jumping out of the boat, and I don't know what it's going to look like in the next 4 or 5 months, 2 months, next week. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I've stopped caring. I don't care what it looks like. All I want to do is be out of the boat with Jesus, and let's walk on the water and let's see what happens. That's what I want for you, because when you live that life, you get that passion, you get that thing like, okay, I have a purpose, I have a destiny, I have a reason. And imagine having a room of 200 people where that's where they were at. I have a purpose, I have a destiny, I have a part to play in this. God's still writing the story. He's still writing the story, and he's using you and me. And I just want us to go into this new year believing that God has given us everything that we need to be the person that he wants us to be. And this is for me, but for all Christ followers. I'm tired of it being a game. I'm tired of, we can't focus on anybody else because we're so worried about our problems. We're so focused on woe is me and the things that happen in my life. How can we even care about another person that's dying and going to hell? But we're the light of the world. That's why we did a candlelight service, our last service. We're the light of the world. We're supposed to be taking it to them. Yet it seems like all we do is focus on our problems. Now listen, they're very real problems. I'm not saying that. But I think that if we actually started living out what we say we believe, we're going to see a change in our life, but more importantly, we're going to see a change in other people's lives. The world has shifted. People are not going to come to church just to come to church. Now, there'll be some come in next week because you kind of get back in. People will come to church because we are being the church outside of these walls. That's it. That's it. I'm telling you. The Bible says so. It doesn't work anymore. We are in a different time. And I'm actually excited because I think the church is going to start being the church again. And I want to be on the forefront of that. I want to be a part of what God is doing. And I hope that you do too. And so I hope that as we move forward with Simple Church, with your life this year, that is the challenge that God gives you. What do you need to do? What comfort zone do you need to get out of so that God can use you for everything that he made you for? And if you do that, you will enjoy this year no matter what happens. I promise you. I told you before, selfishly, I think 2020 is one of the greatest years of my life. Super selfish, but it's perspective. Yeah, things were terrible. There were some really bad things that happened. We lost some loved ones. There's been kind of really, it's amazing in a short span how many funerals we had and how many people we had to go talk to about their sick loved ones. It was terrible, don't get me wrong. But being in the center of God's will, I'm telling you, it gives you all the perspective that you need. And so that's what I'm praying for your life, because I truly believe that for each and every one of us, if we will do that, God will use this church, you personally, to change lives. That's what I want for you, to change the world. Not just as some cheesy slogan. For real. That's actually what we're supposed to do. So I'm going to start believing it. I'm going to start living it out. And I'm going to be bold about it. And that's what I want to pray for you. That's what I want you to do. And I want to pray that over you right now, that God would make you uncomfortable. Father,